Well, good day, ladies and gents. Full Face here, coming at you live and direct from Bunbury, Western Australia. Welcome to Southwest Yamaha, my place of business. There's a trade-in we got today. It's a 2008 Xv250. There's another one for the entry-level cruiser market. This one's got a huge big screen on it. I really like it. It's pretty funny. Sounds pretty cool for a stocker. Let's go have a look, eh? Well, that clutch point's like at the end. Right, Xv250. These are a 249cc V-twin. Very, very basic engine. This is as basic as it gets from Yamaha, you know what I mean? I'm not actually sure what these retail for. I think it's about $4.5–5 grand. And this is your entry-level cruiser. I'll be comparing this one to the Suzuki Intruder I rode for a bit of a reference. A bit squeaky brakes there, that's the rear. Now, these things really have been superseded in the lambs market. Oh, that clutch is right at the end. Yeah, the Xv250 is probably the more common. It's not as smooth as the Suzuki, but it is faster. Yeah, this Xv250 Classic and Custom has superseded this bike pretty much to the point where we don't even carry one on the floor anymore. If you're in the market for your first bike and you're after the cruiser style bike or something like a Harley but an eighth of the cost, the Xv250 is pretty much where it's at, and you can get one of those. I think they're around that 12–13 mark. But yeah, that's the funny thing is a lot of the 250s in the lambs market these days have been totally superseded by, or up to 650s these. I think their limit is, or 650 something. So you just don't see a lot of them. We see a couple come through for servicing in bits and pieces. To be honest, we mostly see them when someone pulls them out of the shed. They finally get the courage to pull the old bike out of the shed and do something with it. Oh, that was a bit full on. Yes. Alright, so the handling. Actually handles alright. Obviously being a very raked out front end, it's not the greatest leaning over, but it doesn't turn too bad. It feels a little bit awkward at low speeds, but that could just be me being used to a street bike. Let's see if it picks up alright. Come around to this corner. It's not slow. And this screen's really good, to be honest with you. You got one of these, grab a screen for it. Fucking awesome. It's very laid back. I felt like with the Suzuki, it had a little sort of a spot in the seat, and the last Xv250 I rode has a little spot in the seat where you sort of locate your bum, you lean back on the stretch of your arms almost, and you sort of just assume that position at all times. This one's a little bit different. It's a bit skinnier, and I seem to sort of move between the front and the back of the seat pretty often. Notice me sliding around a bit. Flat out. That's first, second and third. It's not bad, but she's not a rocket ship by any means. I do like this screen though. The screen does very well. I like it a lot. I'm actually finding that I'm getting very, 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 very little wind coming past it at a high speed. I think that's be an excellent addition. Yeah, a little Xv250. This is the second cruiser I've had a go on in the 250 sort of range. First was a Suzuki Intruder. There's a review on that one if you would like to have a look. And this is the Xv250. Again, it's a 2008 model, and it's pretty good. I don't know. I don't know if I should be saying this because I work for a Yamaha, but it definitely doesn't seem as smooth as the Suzuki. But it's definitely a bit quicker. So you've always got your pros and cons of any bike. What is that bus doing? That's flat out. So I'll definitely get you up to speed. I won't have any problems with it. I'm a kind of lighter guy, so maybe if you're packing a few extra pounds or kilos, you might want to go with the 650, but this does alright. What I'm noticing straight off the bat, even coming from a 250 myself, is everything's super small, to the point where it almost looks flimsy. It's not, but it just sort of, when you're used to seeing like XV250s, Harley Davidsons and all that sort of stuff, you look at one of these, they look like it's made of straw, you know what I mean? It's quite skinny, everything's thin on it, and all that sort of stuff. But again, you're going to have no problems with one of these. Being a Yamaha, being that they've made them for a while now, you're pretty much never going to have anything go wrong with it, you know what I mean? It's pretty bulletproof, if you will. That clutch point's just horrible. Flat out again. Gearbox is nowhere near as smooth as the Suzuki. Alright. And brakes. Yeah, leaves some want. The front brakes actually work a lot better than the Suzuki or the XVS. Though I'm not getting as much rear braking, and that's going to be the size of the rear tyre. That's going to be what that is. But yeah, you don't have quite as much engine braking, and you don't have quite as much solid feeling from the rear end. I stepped on it a little bit back there and it just locked up straight away. So there's not a lot of feel there either. So rightio guys, I'm going to go for my lunch break. We're going to conclude this review on the way back to work. We'll see you soon. Rightio ladies and gents, now for a bit of a recap. Xv250 Virago, 249cc 60-degree V-twin. What is this guy doing? What? Watch out. Entry level, like I said, they're about $5 grand, $5.5 grand new. Pick one up second hand all day long for about $2.5 grand, $3 grand for a really good condition one. Now, is this a good learner bike? Yes, it is. If you're looking at just getting into riding and you're after a cruiser, this is probably the bike for you. I will say, this does feel a little bit more agricultural than the Suzuki that I rode. It's just a little bit softer. The clutch is really soft. There's a lot of play in that. The suspension's pretty soft, you know what I mean? There's a lot of play in everything. It's definitely a learner bike. That being said, the Suzuki's usually retail for an extra grand or two, you know what I mean? So if you can pick one of these up for 1,500 bucks, like this one's actually going for, you can't really go wrong. You'll sell it for the same price in a year's time once you've done your learners or whatever, and away you go. As I said before though, these have been superseded a little bit by the XV250 Custom and Classic. We do find a lot of the guys that just want it like a newer learner bike, like maybe they've had the license before and they're just getting back into it and they're in their lambs class, they go straight for the XV650. They're a little bit more, or a fair bit more actually. I think they're closer to 12 grand, and you do get a lot more bike for it though. Taking back to when you had to have a 250 to do your license in Australia, these things were everywhere. We see them come in all the time, and like I said, they sort of, a lot of the guys have had them in the shed, you know, had them from years back, and then they just sort of want to get them running again, want to get out on the road. So they are around. You'll pick one up on Gumtree for 2 grand all day long, and they are a pretty good bike. You're not going to go wrong with it. It's not going to break down. It's not going to have any issues. They run forever. It's not the most pretty bike. It's not the nicest bike to ride, but it'll get you anywhere. I guess it's a bit like a postie bike in that sort of respect. And the other thing I just wanted to touch on really quickly is these things have been around forever and a day. You can get every aftermarket accessory under the sun for it. So even if you wanted just to get one of these just to, you know, throw some money at it and make your own bike, I've seen a couple of guys do that now, especially with the Honda Shadows, turn them into bobbers and all this sort of stuff, and it costs them all like 2 grand. It's a bit of fun just to have a bit of a project. So yeah, they're a pretty good project bike in my opinion as well. If you're into that type of bike, excellent. And again, this screen, if you ride one of these and you're not just cruising through town all the time as a weekend bike, this screen is epic. So good. Yeah, that's going to be it, guys. One thing I didn't touch on, the mirrors. The mirrors are excellent on these bikes. Anthony! Full face out.